The massage that changed everything didn't happen in a spa or in some glamorous place. It happened inside a small home in Austin, Texas, where a mother and her teenage daughter were learning how to navigate life after losing someone dear to them. My name is Rachel Miller, I'm 42, and this story is about the way a simple act of care reshaped the broken pieces of my family and reminded us what it meant to hold each other together. I had been married to Daniel for nearly 18 years. He wasn't just my husband, he was my best friend, my partner in every sense, and the father of our only daughter, Grace. When Daniel got sick and passed away after a long battle with heart disease, my world shattered. Suddenly, the little home that once echoed with laughter and music felt unbearably quiet. Grace was only 16 then, still in high school, and while she tried to act strong, I knew the absence of her dad had carved a hole in her heart. The first few months were the hardest. Every day felt like wading through heavy water, trying not to drown in the silence. I worked as a school librarian, and while being surrounded by books was comforting, I often found myself breaking down in the empty aisles when I thought no one was looking. At home, Grace locked herself in her room more often than not, headphones blasting to drown out the silence. We ate together, but it was mechanical, like two people surviving side by side rather than living. One Saturday afternoon, after a particularly long week, I walked into Grace's room. She was sitting on her bed with her laptop open, her eyes tired. "Hey, sweetheart," I said gently. She looked up with a weak smile. "Hi, Mom." I noticed she had been sketching in her notebook. Grace had always been artistic. Her room was full of little drawings taped to the walls, some of them doodles, others surprisingly detailed. One drawing caught my eye. It was of our family when Daniel was still alive, the three of us sitting on a picnic blanket, the smiles wide, the colors vibrant. My chest tightened. "You miss him too, don't you?" she asked quietly, almost like she was afraid to break the air around us. "Every day," I whispered, sitting beside her. "But I think he'd want us to keep living, Grace. He wouldn't want us to stay frozen in sadness." She leaned against me, and for the first time in weeks, I felt her body soften into mine. We sat like that for a long time, and then she surprised me by saying, "Mom, can I give you a massage? Just like when Dad used to rub your shoulders when you were tired." I saw a video online about how it helps people relax. At first, I almost laughed, my daughter offering me a massage, but then I saw the sincerity in her eyes, the way she wanted to help, to connect. And so I nodded. "Sure, sweetheart. That sounds really nice." She guided me to sit on the edge of her bed. Her hands, small but warm, began to gently press against my shoulders. She was clumsy at first, giggling when she accidentally poked a little too hard, but soon her touch grew steady, thoughtful. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a wave of comfort wash over me. Not because the massage was professional, it wasn't, but because it came from her. It was love poured through her fingertips, a wordless way of saying, "I'm here, Mom." Tears filled my eyes, and before I knew it, I was quietly sobbing. Grace paused. "Mom, did I hurt you?" "No, baby," I said, grabbing her hand. "You healed me." She hugged me tight, and that night, something shifted between us. We weren't just mother and daughter grieving side by side anymore. We were leaning into each other, stitching the broken fabric of our little family back together. After that day, the massage became our thing. Every Friday night, after dinner and dishes, Grace would bring out her scented lotion, and we'd take turns giving each other simple massages, not spa-like, not fancy, just back rubs and shoulder presses, sometimes with laughter, sometimes in silence. It became less about the act itself and more about the ritual of showing up for one another. It wasn't long before I noticed changes in Grace. She started talking more at dinner, sharing things about her friends, her classes, her dreams. One night, she even told me she wanted to apply to art school someday. I hadn't seen her talk about the future since before Daniel got sick. Her spark was slowly returning. One particular night, after she had finished her turn massaging my shoulders, she said, "You know, Mom, I think this is Dad's way of reminding us he's still here. Every time we do this, I feel like he'd be smiling." Her words undid me. I cried again, but it was different this time. It was a release, not just grief. Grace held me like I used to hold her when she was small, her hands patting my back. I realized that she wasn't just my daughter anymore. She was becoming my friend, my anchor. Life didn't magically become easy. Bills still piled up, loneliness still crept in, and grief still visited on quiet nights. But our ritual gave us strength. Soon, Grace suggested we invite my sister and her little kids over for family night massages, and what started as a mother-daughter tradition grew into a family thing. We laughed, we bonded, and little by little, love filled the empty corners of our house again. Years later, when Grace gave her graduation speech at her high school, she shared a story about our massage nights. She told her classmates, it wasn't about massages at all. It was about remembering that love doesn't vanish when someone leaves. It just finds new ways to hold us. I sat in the crowd, tears streaming, so proud of the young woman she had become. And today, as I sit in that same house, a little older but still holding on to those Friday night traditions, I realize that the massage that changed everything wasn't about physical touch at all. It was about connection, healing, and the reminder that even in our darkest moments, love finds a way to reach through. Because in the end, grief doesn't destroy love, it deepens it. And sometimes, all it takes is a simple gesture, like a daughter's hands on her mother's shoulders, to remind us that we are never truly alone.